The emotional ripples of the obedience economy, shared superiority, shared struggle, and shared deference. How the online labor market replaced bad rituals with nothing at all, and why that hurts more than we say. Hi, my name is Sarah Trumbull. I'm the founder and CEO of the Job Applicant Perspective, the first online user reviews for job ads across the US. We aren't trying to tell you what it's like to work anywhere. We're trying to tell you if those job ads even exist. It's just a place that's a lot like Yelp, but it's in a world of professionally mandated fine dining with no health department and no FDA, no requirement that anything on the menu has to exist. And even if it did exist, that it should have to be delivered to job seekers. We happen to think that there's very little chance that public policy is going to get on this soon enough. So we're having job seekers share with each other where the ghost jobs and the scam jobs are. That's the goal. So I write these kind of blogs as a level of go-to-market awareness for the paradigm shifting innovation, which is job seeker voices as active participants in the job market. And part of that is telling the job seeker story, because the silence and erasing of half the labor market and well over 95% of its users is just epically foolish to me. Just ridiculous. And it drives this Bonhoeffer's perspective level collapse of understanding what the online labor market is. So this particular post is honestly an ode to everyone who's ever been job seeking, because it was me too, because I was in the market too. Up until 2020, I had thought people are just over exaggerating, etc. I was one of the foolish people caught in the delusion of what online hiring was. Now, I wrote this post in honor of those people that are still there and to validate your experience. You can let me know if it rings true for you, and if it doesn't, that's okay too. But I am dead serious about my online innovation. It's Google reviews for job ads across the US, because this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's essentially what's on Five Fake Jobs or Reddit, Recruiting Hell, but it's organized and searchable and a little better vetted. That's what we're looking at here, because we're trying to basically have all of us share together. Because realistically, would you buy baseball cards on eBay without user reviews? No. So you shouldn't have to buy your financial security, spend time buying your financial security that way. Just saying. But let's getting back to the blog post here. The emotional ripples of the obedience economy. Shared superiority, shared struggle, and shared deference. This is a real post here. So, yeah. Naming the bonds of survival. To set the stage for my next observation about the online labor market, I need to first step back and make some cultural context clear, especially for those unfamiliar with this kind of systems level thinking I'm bringing to this space. For those who haven't read my work on the obedience economy, you should probably stop and check that out. As a devoted listener of the work of Daniela Mestenak-Young, also known as the Knitting Cult Lady, I feel obligated to offer a few caveats. I am not a trained sociologist, but an embedded observer. My training in the labor market economics is quite deep at this point, but entirely unofficial. Think of me as speaking economics, but with a French accent. That is a testament to my background. The title I would give myself is Structural Systems Theorist by nature, a lens shaped by my neurodivergence, autism, ADHD, which gives me a cognitive style ChatGPT once described as conceptual synesthesia. I don't smell colors or taste music, but the structure of ideas and experiences overlap for me. I often speak in metaphors because that's how I experience things. I borrow heavily from thinkers like Donella Meadows. Her book, Thinking in Systems, is 2 thumbs way up for me. Super good book. And I bring this pattern-seeking brain of mine into the labor space, not as a detached academic, but as an embedded observer. That matters because what I'm about to say is stitched together from embedded observation, not peer review. Pushing a paradigm shift of global labor market economics while building a business has not afforded me a chance to properly seat this side of my insight into existing sociological work just yet. So take what I say not as gospel, but as invitation. I think I'd like to theorize that much of what we call community in the West, particularly in English-speaking cultures, isn't really connection. It's survival disguised as solidarity. It's a sense of shared safety related to conditional proximity to perceived power. Let me explain. I believe we often confuse real human connection with what I'd call survival bonding. These are groups that mimic the shape of community but are formed and maintained by power dynamics, not unconditional belonging. There are three types that I see. Number one, shared superiority, the camaraderie of the powerful. Think popular kids in high school, exclusive country clubs that don't just let anybody in. Teams bonding by mocking the intern. Connection built on status, even if it's borrowed. Don't you know who I am? I'm a XXY. You belong because of your place in the hierarchy. Number two, shared struggle. Solidarity forged in the trenches. Think the civil rights movement, disability activism, feminist organizing, or more casually, the shared misery of friend groups based on their lack of significant others. These are bonds formed under fire. Meaningful, yes, but still contingent on shared pain. You belong as long as you're struggling too. Number three, shared deference, the quiet camaraderie of the powerless. Think the nerds sticking together after school to comfort a bullied friend, but never really challenging the bully's mid-push. Employees joking in the break room about bad management. This is a we're all in this together energy from the bottom of the pyramid. You belong because you all perceive yourselves equally powerless. Now, let me be clear. These are valid, powerful, deeply human modes of connection. They're strategies of survival, often beautiful, often necessary, but they do not offer genuine safety. They offer survival. You can tell by how quickly they dissolve when your circumstances shift. Get a promotion in a shared deference group, you're suddenly not one of them. You need to go to the new break room for camaraderie. Lose wealth in a shared superiority group, your social calendar empties. Think Schitt's Creek. Find a new love interest in a shared misery group, you might be out. These aren't communities of who you are. These are communities of where you are in the triangle. And when you move up, down, or out, the connection recalibrates or vanishes. In that sense, they're not rooted in horizontal humanity. They're shaped by vertical social morality. The invisible but omnipresent sense that our safety, belonging, and worth are determined by our position in the system. Call it patriarchy, call it capitalism, call it colonialism. It's all the same structure, the triangle. And in that structure, even connection becomes performance. I'm naming this here not to dismiss these bonds. They've kept people alive, but to point out that they're fragile. And the digital labor market, as I'll argue next, has exploited and erased even these survival rituals. We're not just disconnected in the modern job search. We're disconnected from even the performance of connection. This matters. It's why the emotional horror of job seeking today runs so deep. Because we weren't meant to survive systems alone. And for now, for many years, in order to have any community at all in the future, let alone access to food, clothing, shelter, or healthcare, we are asked to. Who this is for. If you've been job searching and feel like you're screaming into a void, this is for you. If you've led teams and felt like your hiring funnel is full of noise, this is for you too. If you're a sociologist, a journalist, or systems thinker, and you've sensed something broken in the labor market, but you haven't had the words, this is the pattern you've been tracking. The collapse of even that. Then came the digital hiring platforms. When they required a performance of deference in all public professional spaces that job seekers would have access to, they took away something truly profound. Safety of a survival strategy of shared kinship. No boss to gossip about, no office, no coworkers, just portals, silence, endless, nothing. If you try to speak to your former acquaintances, you risk purgatory for longer. If you speak to your fellow members in purgatory, you risk purgatory for longer. Even the old half-broken rituals are gone. What replaced them? Not truth, not agency, just absence. It's not just disconnection anymore. It's dehumanized disconnection. The performance of community disappeared and nothing stepped in. Why it hurts so deeply? That's why the modern labor market feels so emotionally horrifying, not just because it's failing, but because you fail in utter isolation, totally alone. No witnesses, no camaraderie, no story, no signal, no repair. Just public shame over and over, a sense that those with shared deference or shared superiority will always exclude you unless you sit within social professional isolation. What is that question that we all ask when we're meeting someone for the first time? So what do you do? How do you plan to go to family weddings or friend events when you really can't commit because you don't have the finances and maybe you have a potential interview, maybe could be? One contractor who got his dream chance to interview at Amazon. He took a day off work to do it. He took one day off for each of the subsequent 6 interviews and was cut without understanding why from the process. That year, he missed a family wedding and he had work. Imagine that process repeated for years without it. We weren't just obedient previously. We were together in our obedience. Now we're obedient alone. What we're rebuilding, I'm not just rebuilding a job review platform. I'm rebuilding that missing layer, the one that has big enough shoulders to hold truth, not repress it. Reality really isn't as horrifying as silence is. Who holds you when things aren't going right, if not your own community of professional peers, people who get it? Job seekers may not have work, but is there any reason that they shouldn't have each other? Openly, unapologetically, publicly, supporting each other through the highs and lows of a system they didn't break but are paying for every day? Tens of millions of Americans at least daily. Who benefits from the absence of this kind of professional community, proudly honored? And who profits from the professional isolation and psychological, emotional, and financial pain of 27 million working class Americans, according to Hidden Workers Harvard study, for back in 2021, struggling for years without even the survival bonds of human connection and support. I gotta say, looking around in the world, I really don't think this is good for democratic society to engage like this. What if feeling and witnessing an emotional experience is the end of the suffering that avoiding it has created? What if honoring the resilience and capacity of the human social emotional experience of reality is about witnessing it, not rescuing it? Because the witnessing of it allows the people who have endured it to honor their life experiences so they can rescue themselves. Mutual recognition, voice where silence used to be, agency instead of obedience. Because even if the old rituals were gone, at least they were rituals. We deserve more than their absence. If you want to go deeper, explore the research behind this. This post builds on a larger systems theory that I've developed about digital hiring dysfunction. I call it the theory of online market gravity. It's now a 6-part conceptual model of how labor platforms collapsed into noise and opacity. And I have that on SSRN, OSF, and Zanito. Related blog posts that are connected to this is on the obedience economy. Who are the job market ghosts? The job market isn't a store, it's a relationship, and it's broken. No academic credentials are required to read, just curiosity and a bit of fire. The job applicant perspective, we're building the first real accountability layer for hiring, a kind of Yelp for job ads, where job seekers review the hiring process itself. Why? Because reputation should go both ways. Because trust isn't optional. Because hiring shouldn't feel like gambling in the dark. At TJAB, we believe ghost jobs should be flagged. Real candidates deserve real closure. Employers deserve signal, not spam. And the job market should serve all of its stakeholders. Obviously. We're just not making hiring easier. We're making it honest. We're not talking about perfect outcomes. We're talking about reliably imperfect outcomes. Final word. The labor market isn't just an economic space. It's a space of ritual, of identity, of validation, of belonging. And when those rituals collapse, people don't just lose jobs, they lose parts of their identity. It needn't be about villainy. It can be Maui inadvertently taking the heart out to Fidi, turning her into Taka. But we have to give it back. We need to give it back. What I'm offering isn't just data. It's a way to stop mistaking obedience for value. Because we've been trained to survive systems that never asked who we were, only whether we complied. It's time to ask better questions and build better systems. Thank you.